Hello, everyone. This is Wayne, and welcome to our Precision Marketing Approach workshop. Had to get all that straight. Too many words, too many ideas, too many thoughts. Here's how this is going to work today. First of all, I'm going to use a number of slides to guide the content that we want to use. I will follow a format because I want to help you understand this whole concept of how do you achieve exponential growth? How do you accomplish a lot more and do it in less time? How is that possible? How can you get geared up for 2020? I mean, it's a short window right now, but you can get your head into this philosophy and into this process and get moving and get started right away in the new year. Tools, techniques, training, learning, understanding, mastering, having a system that can help you get to where you want to go. And so these are some of the things that we'll cover in our content today. And when I look at over this way, I'm looking at my other screen. When I look over here, I'm looking at you. Many of you have been watching my videos, my short videos on precision growth. I would say most people here fall in that category. We have a really good number of people here, and so I'm excited about that. And I'm going to just hide my screen for a second here. If I can find the right controls, which is always the challenge, always the fun. So let me just do this. We have a really good flow of participants here today. I'm really excited about that. And people have been obviously concerned about how they can make a difference, what they can do, what they can accomplish. And there's so many things that you can do to make a change in your results. But there's one thing that's head and shoulders above all the rest. That is, how do you find, sift, sort, and select the right new people that you want to invite into your clientele? That's one of the biggest challenges. And people get involved in lots and lots and lots of different things where they're trying to grow and develop and, really expand their results. But there's one thing that's head and shoulders above everything else. That's the topic of marketing. Marketing is truly the key to business success. And so the challenge that we have is, how do we accomplish more, do it in less time with less effort and energy and fuss and financial expense and all the stuff that we go through, when marketing is the key to business success. You may think that that your real business is, just show the other side of my screen here for a second, show a couple of slides. You may think that your real business, already in there, so I don't need to use that anymore. You may think your real business is, the delivery of financial products and services to your clients. Just a second here, got to find the right slide. Here we go. You may think your real business is the delivery of financial products and services, right? That's the business you're in. But here's what I've discovered. I've been involved in this business for 51 years. It'll be 52 that's right, it'll be 52 in 2020. Suffered terribly in the beginning of the business, just had a horrible beginning. I'm a guy who couldn't pass high school. It took me 5 years to fill a 3-year program. And I ended up getting into an adult course, in a business course for 2 years. Later on, failed there too. I was driving a garbage truck for a living. And at age 21, I got involved in the insurance and financial services business. I guess that means that you can tell how old I am now. That's pretty easy. Just turned 73. And so I've seen a lot of things in this business. I've experienced a lot of things. And, what's happened is I've learned from a lot of other people, and I've learned from a lot of mistakes. I've been a master mistake maker over time. And it took me a long time to just get started. So what I'm going to teach you today comes from a base of wisdom, experience, understanding, knowledge, know-how, expertise. I built my practice. I sold my practice 23 years ago. It's in the same location with the same name on the door. And I'm really proud of that. So I really got started in my 12th year in the business. That's when I really got started. Oh yeah, I was a lifetime qualifying member of the $1 Million Roundtable, but barely. And I had some things that happened in my 12th year in the business that just like, I thought I was going to lose it all. And then I had some things that happened that really helped me understand some key principles of growth in this business, because that's what it takes, is some key principles of growth. And one of those is being on track with your profile and your program and your process. One of those, three of those, being on track with your profile, your program, and your process. So once you know who to see, what to deliver to those people that you see, and you have the process set up for, step by step, A to Z process, A to Z, depending on which country you're from. Once you have that process set up and going, you got to get moving. And so many people are spending a lot of time, effort, and energy on things that are taking them sideways, not really accomplishing what they need to accomplish. And so let me come back to this slide again. And that is, you may think you're in the business of delivering financial products and services, but here's the reality. You are in the business of marketing financial products and services. That's your real business. Because without marketing, absolutely nothing happens. And what happened was I clicked on an icon here and it brought up another website. I got to get out of here so I can get back to where I want to be. Here we go. And so without marketing, nothing happens. You're a financial professional. You solve real life problems. You make a difference in people's lives. And that's all positive. That's all good. But for you, the goal is money, time, and mental freedom. I mean, that's what we're all looking for. And pretty easy to say, pretty difficult to do. But it's all about getting really involved in mature simplicity. How do you accomplish a much higher level of money freedom? How can you accomplish a much higher level of time freedom? Because those two lead to mental freedom. And many of you have seen my document on the 4 phases of growth. If you haven't, you can just send a note to info@cottonsystems.com, info@cottonsystems.com, and ask for my document on the 4 stages of growth, the 4 phases of growth. Sometimes we start off in the house of pain, and that's where I started off. Absolutely horrible. House of pain. My 4th year in the business, I earned $6,042. I paid my secretary $6,500. I didn't take home a dime. It was horrifying. And I learned this skill called borrowing money, which is a stupid skill to learn. If I couldn't earn it, I'd borrow it. That set up a trap. So through all these experiences, I've learned something really important here. What we're looking for is money, time, and mental freedom. Oh yes, I got there. You make the graduation from the house of pain to the house of same, where you're doing the same old all the time. And the house of same is where a lot of people get stuck in our business. It's just kind of the same old. They're working harder and harder, it seems, all the time. Like there's so many things to do and so many things to know, so many things to understand. Then if you're really diligent about it, you might get to the house of gain. That's where you've got the revenues to be able to take some great vacations, to buy a vacation home perhaps, to put away a lot of money, to contribute to the lives of others. Like the house of gain is where you're really kicking it, like you're generating the revenue. And the house of gain might mean you're running between 500 and 750 of income, like whatever the level is for you. Maybe it's $1 million. And so maybe it's $250,000, whatever the level is where you say, okay, now I'm getting into the house of gain. And maybe you spend a period of time in there. But then you realize that there's another level, which is the ultimate level. It's called the house of sane. And the house of sane is where you have the money, time, and mental freedom. The house of sane is where you've got the revenues that you want. You also have the time that you want. And some of you know that at my upper levels in the business, I was taking 180 days a year off. But I was also running another company, speaking and publishing business, information publishing. And I was on the speaking circuit, and I was spending a lot of days there, 120 days a year. Now, when you think about that, I only had 65 afternoons a year to be in the office. And so at my peak, I was generating 9 times MDRT in 65 afternoons a year because 65 mornings were the other business. I was commuting 550 miles between my home and my office, living in the Okanagan Valley of British Columbia. And I built this amazing practice. Now, I'm not saying this to impress you, but to impress upon you that your growth is based on certain key principles of growth, and it's based on certain elements that you must master. And one of those elements is back to this slide again, where you have money, time, and mental freedom. My internet, for some reason, is moving really slow all of a sudden. Must have too many people here. No, just kidding. Can never have too many people learn these lessons and understand what to do. And so what happens is for many financial professionals, let me just try that one more time. There we go. For many financial professionals, what happens is they're busy, busy, busy all the time. And they get the feeling like they're trying to push a ball uphill. Now, the question is, you're putting in way too much time and effort for what you actually get accomplished. The problem is we live in this age of massive distraction. And the massive distraction is what takes us all sideways. I see this more and more all the time. It's getting worse all the time, right? And so many financial professionals are busy, busy, busy with all these things that they got to do, okay? And then in addition, there's lots more. And what happens is many advisors just get involved in too many things, and they don't have a business. They got a bunch of busyness, all right? Round and round and round and round and round and round they go. And that is a serious challenge. And so we need to figure out, how do we straighten that out? How do we get where we want to go? Like, how can we make, there's the Okanagan Valley, BC, where we live. And so how do you accomplish these things, and how do you get things done? How do you move forward to where you want to go and to be who you can be, make a difference in the world? How do you do all that? Well, I want to suggest to you one thing. And that is that marketing is the key to business success. You need to figure out, like, how do you get away from complicated sophistication, which is a huge deal, and how do you move forward into mature simplicity? Well, let me take you through some things that happened with me. I got involved in making my business very complicated, and I had all these moving parts. You're 12. I had 11 people in marketing and support staff, fancy office space downtown. It all looked good on the outside. I was a CLU, as life member of MDRT, but then my debt load caught up to me. Well, first of all, I had a bunch of stress-related medical illnesses, 8 of them in a 2-year period of time. And my debts had caught up to me, and I couldn't keep going. I couldn't keep supporting this whole mechanism. I mean, I was essentially a plateaued MDRT member, spending way more than I should have been spending, earning way less than I should have been earning. And so what happened is the whole thing imploded. And I lost everything. I mean, I lost my office space, my staff, my equipment. I'm coming to the lessons that we learned from this. I lost all these things. And I couldn't keep functioning. And it all blew up. This didn't explode, it imploded. And here I am with 7 legal judgments against me, with no office space. I was president of the local association at the time, 700 members. You can talk about looking like an idiot. And so I knew that I was going to have to go bankrupt. My banker told me that, my lawyer told me that, my accountant told me that, my friends told me that. So the day we lost our home, I took that one last walk through to make sure that there wasn't anything left. And when I did that, here's what happened. I was going through there, and there was only one thing left in the house. And it was a 3x5 card thumbtacked to the wall where my desk had been the day before. And here is what it said. If you've got a problem, make it a procedure, it won't be a problem anymore. Man, I was so bummed out. I felt I was just in the worst situation of anybody in our whole city. It was terrible. I was just a farm kid in the city trying to do a good job, and look what happened. So I was out at Smitty's restaurant in Calgary Trail, South Edmonton, Alberta, which is where I built my practice. And I dropped my car keys in my jacket pocket. It was winter time, and out comes this 3x5 card, and it says, "If you got a problem." And I went, "Ah!" And I was sitting there by myself, and people are turning around and looking at me. It was like, oh, what is that guy all about? And I read it again, and I read it again, and I read it again. I read it probably 50 times. And it gave me a glimmer of hope. I'd never procedurized the business. Was it too late? Of course it was. There's no way I could pull it out. But this gave me a little bit of hope, a little bit of hope. And instead of going out to find a bankruptcy trustee that day, I sat and I wrote a bunch of notes. I thought I'd never really procedurized the business. And so I took this phrase and I thought, I wonder if I could talk to my creditors and get them to back off a bit, because I have not procedurized my business. Oh, I had the cotton system, actually, the original foundation of the cotton system, but I was into bright, shiny objects all the time. I was looking for this and looking for that, and here, there, and everywhere, trying to be in different markets, trying to be all things to people all the time. And it didn't work. I knew what hard work was. That was the order of the day when you're living on the farm. But it didn't work. And so I read this phrase, and it started to change my thinking a little bit. And so here's what happened. I learned 3 lessons in about 26 hours. I want to share them with you because this is really important to the results that you want through this whole concept of precision marketing approach. First of all, convert problems to procedures. That was lesson number 1. That happened in the morning over breakfast at Smitty's. And I made a lot of notes about that. And the second thing that happened was dump the junk. I had 16 filing cabinet drawers full of stuff in my information retrieval system. I mean, it was just jammed full of stuff. And I'd been saving this stuff for a dozen years. You know, it'd fit on a nice memory stick today. But it was 16 filing cabinet drawers full of stuff. And I was so frustrated with myself. I loaded them up in the back of the only vehicle I had left, a 53 Ford pickup. And I rode out to the city dump. And I emptied 16 filing cabinet drawers. I mean, it was all sales ideas and product ideas and success ideas, and all this stuff that we gather up and try to learn. See, I bought into the concept that knowledge is power. And so I gathered up all this knowledge, but I came to understand that it's knowledge put into action that makes any difference. What we need to do is actionize our understanding. So one of my themes in this business is it isn't all about education, it's about activation. And activation is, how do you move forward? How do you accomplish the things you need to accomplish? And so here I am, I dump all this stuff. And then I got to the edge of the city dump in my old pickup, and I thought, what did I just do? Oh my gosh. I just dumped all this knowledge base. Well, the only things I kept were the things that were in the Cotton Client Acquisition system, or what's evolved into the Cotton Client Acquisition today. And so I went another couple of blocks, and then I thought, I'm a free man. I don't have this mill around my neck with all this stuff I need to learn and understand and do. And so this second rule in was dump the junk. And I still teach this to people all the time today because people gather up so much stuff. And a lot of it's preventing them from moving forward in a proper basis. And then the third lesson was the next morning when I woke up with a phrase in my mind. So from Smitty's restaurant to the city dump, to laying in bed with a phrase in my mind. The phrase was best case scenario, best case scenario, best case scenario. What does that mean? Well, I know what best case scenario means, but what does it mean to me? And so what I did was that I went out to the rented garage. I had all my client files in it behind our rented house. And I got out a big sheet of paper and I wrote down best case scenario on the top of it. Best case scenario, best case scenario, best case scenario. And then I got a crazy idea. I'm going to look at my top 10 revenue generating client files. I'm going to look at those and see what I can discover. And so what I did was I pulled those files, and then I built a little evaluation format that I called my best case scenario. There was 20 items, 2 pages, 20 items. One was the characteristics of the client. Now remember, these are my top 10. One was the characteristics of the work I did for that client and what were the results. So 2 approaches then. One is the characteristics of the client, characteristics of the results of working with that client. And I laid out this whole evaluation. I was being good old creative analytical way, and I lay out all this evaluation, and the lights went on big time. What I didn't understand at the time was I had just reverse engineered my success. I looked in the rearview mirror to figure out where I'd done my best job. And so I got this concept, this idea, they got this profile from that whole exercise. And when I got that profile, I realized, well, I know how to do that. See, I was trying to be an elephant hunter chasing big cases, a rabbit hunter chasing little cases. I was all over the map. I was in massive distraction, diffusion, diversion, like a lot of people in our business are today. Maybe you're one of them. And so I had to have some foundation to hang on to. So converting problems to procedures, dump the junk, and focus on my best case scenario. Now, I had to go see my creditors. Man, I had to go see my creditors. And I said, listen, any one of you can put me down. You'll lose what I owe you. And I'll lose a lot too. If you'll give me just a short period of time, I know now the mistakes I've made and I know what I'm doing about them. And it's become very clear. Give me 3 months. And then I went back, got another 3 months. And you know what happened? Armed with those 3 lessons, I was underway again. Convert problems to procedures, dump the junk, and focus on your best case scenario. So here's what happened. My new major goal was to be worth nothing by the age of 40. Because you see, I had racked up literally in 1980, $500,000 in debt. How could anybody do that to themselves? But I did it to myself because I became masterful at borrowing money. Stupid, stupid, stupid. I mean, I was bound and determined I was going to make it in this business, but I wasn't making it at all. I was going backwards. Yes, I was a life member of the $1 Million Roundtable, but that didn't count for much because it's really a basic standard of living. By the time you add on all your additionals that your contract provides and take away your deductibles, your expenses, qualifying for the $1 Million Roundtable now in the US is what, $95,000 a first year commission, give or take. So if your expenses take care of your bonuses in your contract, if your bonuses, I should say, take care of your expenses, and your first year commission, well, my expenses were way too high. It was impossible to survive what I was in. So all of a sudden, I'm operating out of my rented garage with my only vehicle, 53 Ford pickup. And it was unbelievable. And here's why. I set up a goal of being worth nothing by the time I turned 40. I was, I think, 30. Yeah, I was 33 when this happened, my 12th year. I started age 21. So my new major goal in life was to be worth nothing by the time I was 40. I figured if I can get rid of all this debt and become worth nothing, that'll be huge. And here's the end result of this story. It took me 6 years, but I did it. I didn't go bankrupt because, you see, I started generating revenue right away. I started generating the kind of revenue that I needed to generate. And so in doing that, these 3 things, convert problems to procedures, dump the junk, focus on my best case scenario, I doubled my highest year of revenue ever. So in 1981, I doubled my highest year of income ever. You know why? Because now I had clarity. I had total clarity. I knew what I'd done wrong, and I knew what I had to do in order to fix this, or at least I thought I did. And I did. I still teach these lessons all the time today. Convert problems to procedures. Dump the junk. Focus on your best case scenario. And I was shocked. Nobody was more shocked than I was that I could go out and double my income in a single year. I mean, that's extraordinary. And it was double the highest year I'd ever had. Wow. How is that possible? Because I got clarity on what I needed to do. A lot of it was wrapped around procedures. And once I knew my best case scenario, I realized that's not that hard. I've been there 7 times before. I know what to do in those situations, like the ones that were my profile. I knew exactly what to do in those kinds of situations. It wasn't complicated at all. So here I was running around in circles trying to be a rabbit hunter, out there trying to be an elephant hunter to solve my problems. Not getting those cases because I wasn't competent enough in that area. And so what I learned is to focus on a baseline that's consistent with my top 10 similar 7. And so those, because they're my largest clients, and I'd already done them, I already had the skill set, the expertise, the knowledge, the know-how that I needed to do more of the same. Now, some people will tell you got to focus on the biggest check. I don't buy that for a second. You focus on the best check. I'm talking about your side of the equation here, not what you do for clients. Yes, you got to do business with integrity and help your clients, of course. Your problem can't be their problem. And so I want to do business with integrity. So what I'm suggesting to you is this business is more about client development than it is about peddling products. I mean, we know that's the right way, right? But the question is, how are we doing that? There's a zillion ways to market. There's a zillion ways to market. There's more coming online all the time, on stream all the time. But what we want to talk about is precision marketing. Because you see, if you can find, sift, sort, and select the right people that you want to invite into your clientele, it's remarkable what you can accomplish. Did I think I could double my year of income ever? No. I thought I had all these things working against me. But by breaking it down to absolute simplicity, getting extremely focused, it was amazing what happened. But there's more to this story, because the other side of the coin is that I also, one night, sitting out in the garage, kids had gone to bed, excuse me, I was sitting out in the garage in my office, so to speak, and I decided that I would do something that would help me really get my motivation right on what my life could be like 10 years from then, 8, 9, 10 years, because I thought it would take that long to really fully recover. And so I'd read a book called Critical Path to Sales Success by Frank Sullivan, one of the best books I've ever read in this business, the best book I ever read in this business. And Sullivan, in his book, Critical Path to Sales Success. Now, I checked the other day, and I could only find one copy out there, and it was $384. Wow. Frank was a past president of the $1 Million Roundtable, and what he talked about was color coding time. And in his case, it was color coding a daily worksheet into 3 colors: offensive, defensive, personal. And it was about another thing, which was color coding his time. So he would break out his time in 15-minute intervals. Man, I tried to do this. I couldn't do that at all. That was way too detailed for me. But that's what Sullivan did. And so I thought, let's think of what I could live for a perfect year. What would it look like? And I worked long and hard at this little project because I wanted to be really motivated by it, knowing that that would be my future. That's my vision board for the future. And I drew up a calendar, annual calendar, that had various colors in it. And the colors were red, green, and yellow, like Sullivan's colors. And the red days were stuff, cleanup, administration, training, stuff, all kinds of things that fall in a red day. My yellow days were my time, mellow yellow, I call them, MY, for my time, personal time, time off. And then green machine was those days where you're going to generate revenue. Green stands for money, green stands for go. So on the green machine days, I want to generate the income. And I was thinking about this thing and thinking about this thing, and I drew this calendar. And the calendar allowed me to figure out, okay, what exactly could I do? And I decided that what I wanted to do was take a huge amount of time off. So thinking forward to, time in the future. So I'm going to bring up a slide here and just show you this. Thinking forward to what it would look like in the future. Here's what I decided. Oh, by the way, I also added blue sky a little bit later. Blue sky for strategy, thinking, working on your life, on your business. And so I decided this is what it would look like. I'd have some time at the beginning of each quarter to have dedicated time to work on my life and on my business. That was really important. I would have 180 days off. Wow. It's a long weekend every single weekend. And some 1 week or 2 week vacations in the year. I thought, wow, wouldn't that be fabulous? A break at the end of each quarter, take a mellow yellow week at the end of each quarter. So in other words, a 4-day work week, of which 3 are green machine and 1 is red tape, cleanup, administrative, education, and stuff. And I worked on it long and hard. And when I finally finished it, I looked at it and I thought, this is amazing. This is really, truly amazing. That's my vision for the future. But the more I worked with it, the more I understood it, the more I thought, this is truly where I need to go. Because see, I'd gone 7 years without taking a day off. Literally. I was down in the office till 2 or 3 on Saturday afternoon, back in there Sunday night, winding up this mental machine weighing cotton workaholic to go and do it all over again. I went 7 years. I took 10 days off. I went another 3 years before I took another one. That's why I got all the 8 stress-related medical problems. And that's why my head was so worn down I couldn't function properly. It was dumb. But I thought that's what I needed to do to get going. You know what? You don't need to pay a big price to be in this business. When you have the right concepts, the right methods, the right tools, you can actually live in mature simplicity from day one. Now, it's too late for most of us to go back to day one, of course. But there may be some people in this class, in this workshop, that are also in a situation where they want to have more freedom. And I'm teaching young people how to get to $1 million, not to $1 million, to $100,000 in their first year in the business. To be at MDRT, their second year in the business. To be at core of the table, 3 times $1 million round table production for the 5th year in the business. Top of the table before year 10. That's 6 times MDRT. And you know what? It's about principles and processes. Our industry is so full of stuff. I'll call it stuff. With all the things that we're trying to teach people to do. And the days of really great training are almost disappeared. Bring people into the business these days and we teach them a little about a lot and we send them out in the marketplace to get killed. That is wrong, wrong, wrong. You need to teach people a lot about a little. They need to understand deeply exactly what they're supposed to say and do and how they handle themselves in a client situation that fits their current best case scenario, where they belong. And once people understand that, it's amazing what they can accomplish. Absolutely amazing. I love doing what I'm doing. I feel like I'm really making a difference for a lot of people. I know I am. So I learned this calendaring thing and I got so excited about it, I decided to do it in 1981. So in addition to doubling my highest year of income ever, I took 180 days off. The story is very well documented. Main platform talks at the $1 Million Roundtable. I've given over 1,000 talks and workshops around the world, live ones. Thousands of online classes and trainings. So I want to motivate you to think in terms of what you really want. Like, would you like to have a much higher level of freedom? Wow. It's totally doable. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's totally doable. Now, here's a little bit later, another option that's still 180 days off, but I did this for several years as well, where I had a bigger team. That is after I got both businesses off the ground and got going. I had a bigger team. And I took 5 days for blue sky, strategy and planning with the team. I went 4 weeks on green machine. Go, go, go. 4 weeks. Focus. Best case scenario. 2 weeks off in the middle of the quarter. So 4 weeks and then take 2 weeks off. 4 more weeks. And then 1 week for red tape, cleanup, administrative and stuff. Take a week off and back to blue sky. And you can see that I had some fairly big things I want to do here. This is primarily skiing time. It's motorcycling time. Summertime. and winter, Maui. Now, I don't care what it is you want to do, whether you want to go build habitat homes for humanity, maybe you want to go and help people in other parts of the world, like whatever you want to do is fine. But the point is, you need to figure out, how can I accomplish a lot more? How can I do it in less time? You see, what happens is when you look at this and you think about time, now all of a sudden you get a little scared because, you know, in my transformation, as it says in here, extreme workaholic to a full 180 days off. And that's where my life started to change big time. Why? Because now I had money, and the money I used to pay off the creditors. And within 3 months, I was paying off money to creditors. I mean, all my big overhead was gone. And so what happens is, you got to figure out, what are you going to do in your green days? Alex McKenzie said, work expands or contracts to fill the amount of time you give it. I gave it a lot less time, and I accomplished far more because I was extremely focused. So that's the big part of this. Now, so understanding your purpose is really important. Secondly, understanding your profile. Know who you need to see to maximize your results. And if you do this exercise that I'm telling you about, in fact, if any of you want to get involved in the client acquisition system, some of you already are. If you want to get involved in the system, we have a special class in there on best case scenario. Another one for determining your opening profile for newer people in the business. But we've got people that are earning well over $1 million a year of income who are using this process. And I developed it for me. I didn't develop it for anybody else. It was completely developed for me. But when you understand your best case scenario, that's how you practice precision marketing. Not only do you need to understand it, but you need the process to implement it as well. This is part of the thinking behind it, right? Find new on-profile prospective clients where you got the competence, confidence, chemistry, and you get consistency and results. In other words, you're in your zone, not the ozone. And the way you determine that isn't by saying, well, I want to be in the high-end business owner market. I want to be in the estate planning market. I want to be. Those are wannabe statements. If that's not what your skill set says that you're good at, don't go there. In other words, you want to be profitable today, not 3 years from today. And by being profitable today, it means you focus on where you belong today. So let me explain it this way. Let's say that there's such a thing as a competency ladder. You know, there's a lot of orchards around where I live, orchards and lakes and vineyards and ski hills and whatever. Let's say that it's a 22 rung high step ladder. And when you get involved in the business, you're obviously at the lowest rung. You're getting started. And some people try and run up to rung number 9 right away. Well, grow by evolution, not revolution. Evolution is when you take a step at a time. And how do you do that? Well, you determine your best case scenario. Where do you belong right now? Best case scenario is way deeper than ideal client profile, by the way. Once you figure out where you belong now, look for consumers that are at that same rung on the competency ladder, because you'll do a lot more business a lot easier. But then as you do your best case scenario every year, what's happening is you're going up a rung, up a rung, up a rung. And you may end up in your career, you may end up in rung number 12. There's a lot of rungs in this competency ladder. Some people are absolutely amazing, way beyond what I ever thought of doing. In fact, I have one of my customers that's doing 10 times what I was doing in my biggest year. 10 times that. He learned the foundation. He learned the process. He learned the belief from me and from the system. Shocking. I can't think that big. Okay. But the bottom line is, if you focus on your area of the competency ladder, you're going to find the business is so much easier. And then you reprofile every year. Let me explain that this way. Let's say that I have a huge box of darts sitting right here on my desk. And you're in the business. You come to see me for some advice. I say, well, first thing I want to teach you is how to throw the darts. I'm not going to teach you. I want you to try. Throw some darts and see what happens. Well, right here by my arm, okay, I'm touching the corkboard beside my desk. So you stand there and you say, oh, okay. You start throwing the darts right here at this corkboard. I say, oh, no, just a minute. Let me give you a little more training here. You need to stand behind a line. And there's a line on the floor. And so you say, oh, okay. They have 5 more places to throw the darts: the ceiling, the floor, the side walls, or the end wall. So you start throwing the darts at the floor? No, that's rabbit hunting. You're not looking for little bits and pieces of business. Because if your competency is at a different level than that, don't be throwing darts at the floor. You don't want to be throwing darts at the ceiling. That's elephant hunting. That's looking for cases that are way beyond your current capability because you think you could. Wow, wouldn't that be amazing? That would solve my problem. It's not about that. It's about your competency level. If that's at the rung of your competency ladder, fine, go for it. But if it's not, keep your feet on the ground and keep focused on where you belong. Now, do you throw the darts at the left wall? No. Because that's a hot new product on the marketplace. You say, oh, wow, I could sell this product. This is great. I'm going to see a lot of people and sell this product. No, that's being a product peddler. It's not what you want to be. You want to be a client developer. You might look at the right-hand wall and say, oh, there's some hot new way of doing things. It's a sales process. Wow, that looks really intriguing. That looks really good. I think I'll just stop and learn all about that. No. You're going to waste a lot of time. I'm not saying don't look for new things. I'm not saying that at all. But sometimes we get involved in things that are way huger than our ability to implement. As a result of that, we suffer. So I say, no, there's the dartboard. It's on the far wall. That's where you need to throw the darts. Oh, okay. And you start throwing the darts at the far wall. Well, you're new at the game of darts, and man, you're not even hitting the bullseye that's there, the dartboard that's there. Not even hitting it. You're hitting the wall all around it. I said, well, no, listen, the real goal is to hit that dartboard. Okay. I said, I just want you to practice this. And so you practice and practice and practice and you're throwing the darts. And pretty soon you start hitting the dartboard regularly. And then what happens is you just get so good that you're within the 6 inches of the bullseye. Wow. What am I talking about? I'm talking about mastery of your client acquisition process. The target is your profile. That's what you're looking for. That's your best case scenario. But your ability to throw the darts, the aim, the stance, the velocity, all these factors, and maybe a lot more. I'm not a very good dart player. But you see, that is your client acquisition process. The bullseye, or the dartboard, is your target. That's your best case scenario. And if you get right into that center ring, wow, that's right on the money for exactly who you want to bring into your clientele. Is this making sense to you? I hope so. Because you see, I'm trying to take something that's in the vein of complicated sophistication and break it down to mature simplicity. So between the competency ladder, like if you get to rung number 9, you don't go bouncing around to rung number 1, 2, or 3. There's lots of people that can handle that stuff. By the same token, you don't try and bounce up to rung number 14, 15, or 17. You're not there yet. You can't go from kindergarten to graduate school in one fell swoop. So if you want to be a standalone economic unit where you are in control of your life, in control of your income, then learn how to throw the darts. That's your marketing. How do you find, sift, sort, and select an adequate flow of the right new people to invite into your clientele? So hopefully that's helpful in getting the concept across of what we're trying to accomplish. Now, you need to know then exactly who to see. Like, where do you do your best work? What is your area of competency? What's your sweet spot? What is your zone, not the ozone? Once you have that down and you see it, then stop chasing around the countryside looking for a bunch of other stuff. Stop meeting with a more advanced advisor than you are to say, gee, I need some help with this case. Because what happens is, I mean, sure, that can work some of the time, but for most people, it creates an unhealthy dependency, especially younger people in the business. It creates an unhealthy dependency because now all of a sudden they're waiting for somebody else to earn a living for them. And it doesn't mean they're standing on their own 2 feet. You want to be loud and proud about what you do, not about what somebody else is doing. I'm not saying don't learn from other people. I'm not saying don't attend webinars or classes or whatever, but slow the bucket down. Get focused on where you belong today and become really, really good at it. You know why? Because if you're profitable today, you'll be a lot more profitable 3 years from today. Yeah, because you'll learn the skills of what you're supposed to know to accomplish a lot more and do it less time. So part of what you need to do then is to figure out, how do I improve the value of a green day? Like, what do I have to do? Well, focus on precision marketing, be very selective about your prospecting, find the right new clients. Now, some people are saying, but I see these opportunities. There's one here, there's one there. Listen, there's no shortage of prospects. There's no shortage of good quality prospects either. There's just shortage of methods of getting in front of the right ones that you need to deal with now. That's the shortage. And I can help with that. So bottom line is, we need to figure out what your profile looks like, because it can make a tremendous transformation for you, like it did for me. I'm not saying you're going to double your income and take 180 days off in one fell swoop. I'm saying, let's get the vision clear of money, time, and mental freedom. How do we accomplish that? Accomplish a lot more in a lot less time. So that's the story of precision marketing and what it means in order for you to accomplish a lot more than maybe you are at the present time. Now, I see I've got a couple of questions in here, and let me just take a quick peek. I have the other copy, says Brian. Okay, I'm not sure what you're referring to. Bowling lanes of learning. David. Yeah, David, that's interesting that you mentioned that, because it's like bowling lanes. It's like knowing where you belong right now and accomplishing more as a result of being there. Okay. And so let me just pull that slide up quickly and show it, because it's an important concept. Bowling lanes of learning. So let's say that you're in the business, which you are, and what's happened is you've walked in, and let's take example of a newer advisor that's just getting started. You walk in the door of the business and somebody says, oh, look at all the opportunities in this business. Wow. And you can be involved in selling life insurance and long-term care and critical illness and annuities and funds. And you can work in estate development or lifestyle protection, financial development. Man, you can get into some really great comprehensive planning, and you can go really advanced. Like, there's lots of places here that you can bowl. But what you notice is these bowling lanes, some are shorter, some are longer. What's that about? That's the length of the lane is the learning and understanding and expertise that you need to bowl in those lanes. You'll also notice that in the smaller lanes, there's lots of pins, but in the next lanes, as they grow up, there's fewer pins. That means there's fewer opportunities. But you also notice that there's more bucks as you graduate. So let's go back and take a look at the bottom end. People that start in the business should be in the second set of lanes. That's where they're helping people solve problems that people have. And as a result of that, they're actually setting up these various things in the left lane, but those are transactional sales. So when you take that second set of lanes, you're learning how to handle business properly. The way you do your fact finding, your case preparation, presentation, like all those things. It's where you need to learn. But then over time, as you reprofile, what's happening is you are now graduating to another level. And so when you reprofile every year, it's a growth into the next level. Now, when you reprofile every year, you're going to go back and look at your top 10 similar 7 again. That's the process you're going to use to try and figure out where you belong now. And so when you're doing that, you are now focused on exactly where you need to be. So this is, it's growing by evolution, not revolution. Evolution is where you jump from one area to another. Now, I did that at one point in my career. I jumped from the second set of lanes and into the third set a little bit, over into the right-hand side in the long set of lanes. And it was traumatic. I mean, I lost so much time, so much effort, so much energy. It cost me a lot of money. But I jumped from this set of lanes and maybe into here, all the way over to here. High net worth, retirement tax, and estate planning. That's the profile. I was dealing with people in that market. And you know what? It took me 24 interviews with perfectly fine prospects before I got my first sale, with the concept that later on I'd get 20 out of 24 with my average revenue of $30,000 a piece. What happened? What happened was I wasn't masterful in that far set of lanes. And I got creamed. It took me a long time to make that transition. What I would have done logically, what I should have done properly, was I should have reprofiled every year and simply graduated into that if that's where I belonged. But I ended up in the retirement tax and estate planning world with a really good sized revenue. So that was what happened. So that's the bowling lanes of skill and learning. Like, figure out which lanes you're supposed to be bowling in. And in this set of lanes here, it's you need a good system to help you with the sales part of the process, not the marketing, but the sales part of the process. Over here, you probably need some designations to be really comfortable and competent in some of those areas. And over here, you need to be in advanced planning, and you probably have a specialist team. That's what I developed over a period of time. So there's various levels of growth in here. And so the bowling lanes of skill and learning are another way to describe what I was just describing to you before. All right. It's how do you accomplish these things that you want to accomplish? How do you put the pieces together? And how do you be involved in continuous, ongoing client acquisition activities? Now, some people say, well, I've got my clientele pretty much built. I mean, geez, here's what I got going. And I've got all this happening. But here's the reality. Maybe you should set up a little tandem team around you where you can delegate a lot of steps in your process to other people. That's what I did. Delegate a lot of steps to other people. And in the meantime, what happens is it gives you more freedom to focus on exactly where you belong. See, some people aren't willing to, spend money in their business. You have to spend money in your business. If you're spending more than 35% of your gross revenue, look out, Charlie, because you're going over the edge. If you're spending less than 25%, look out because you're stunting your growth. In other words, you need to invest in your business. That's just the way it is. You need to invest in your business. And some of you are saying, but my revenues are so low, I can't invest in my business. Well, I'm teaching you today that it's possible for you to kick up your revenues significantly, to accomplish more and do it in less time. Okay, so there's a couple of thoughts then on what you can do to make a difference. And let me just take a look here. What is the expected timeline from moving from one learning lane to the next? It isn't based on a timeline. It's based on your skill set, your willingness to learn and understand, your willingness to apply. Because remember, the best form of learning is by practical application. Now, there's a lot of textbook stuff. That's fine. But now you need to be able to go and do it, right? If you're not doing it, a lot of the learning is for naught. But if you're focused on your best case scenario, once again, I'm going to do a live class for people that decide, today, not today, but decide to get involved in the client acquisition system within a certain deadline. I'll do a live class just for those people on how to determine your best case scenario. I'll drill down. We'll discuss various people's situations to some degree, and you'll get the picture of exactly what you should do to understand your best case scenario. It's a whole skill set, and it's an important one, because once you understand that and you understand how to reprofile every year, man, you can just climb and climb and climb. It's like that's the ladder to take you to a much higher level of success. I know a number of young people in one particular organization who were trained with this philosophy and this process. And in a period of 2 years, hiring 16 people, 5 of them became 5 of the top 10 producers in all of Manulife Financial. It's a pretty good sized company. 5 of them became 5 of the top 10. All got there through one person who was implementing this process with their people. Wow. That's incredible. Like, if you had one person in management, if you had one person in the top 10 in an organization, that's pretty extraordinary. To have 5 is unbelievable. We can share some more information on that with you if you want. So the expected amount of time is if it just takes the time of you mastering the dartboard, right? Master the ability to throw the darts, all right? That's so much more important than all the education, knowledge, information, know-how that you think you need to have. Know-how, yes. Expertise, yes. But it's not in a textbook. Yes, you'll learn from that. But I want you to use experiential learning. With experiential learning, you are in the game. You're doing it. You're being profitable today. And you're being profitable all along the way. Those are some of the things that I learned from the huge mistakes that I made in my career. And by the way, I sold my practice a month before I turned 50. Yep. And I shouldn't talk numbers here, but our gross revenues are running just over $1.5 million. And I was taking my 180 days a year off. And I was also running a second company, the Speaking and Information Publishing Company, built on the same principles of growth as my financial practice. So this isn't an anomaly. This is good learning. You get a lot of junk out there these days, a lot. People say, oh, you should do this, you should do that, whatever. Some of those people have never really been in the game. Some of those people never were successful. They say that if you can't do, maybe you should teach. No. The reason people follow me is because I've been there and done that, and they know that. I'm speaking at the $1 Million Roundtable again this year, by the way, in 2020, June. So the bottom line is, let's figure out how we are going to get to where we need to go, okay? And so I'm going to just close that off for now because there was some observations or questions in there, so that's fine. Now, let's then, let me just look at one more thing here. Chat, okay. Sean, you help develop 7-figure earners. So I'm wondering if you have to be in the high net worth market to get to the 7-figure income. No. Sean, we had a conversation recently. And yes, I do have another world that I operate in. It's a high-end coaching program for seasoned, successful advisors that want to get to $1 million of personal income while taking 180 days a year off. I've been there, done that. I know exactly how. I've been teaching and coaching and guiding for years. So it's a pretty exclusive group that I'm dealing with. May even be some people in here that should consider that. If you want, just put put to info@contentsystems.com, just put pathway. Just put pathway in the subject line and we'll know you're interested in learning more about that. But that's not why we're here today. Here's the best way to get there. It is by learning how to make a flow, learning how to develop a flow of the right on profile prospective clients for your current level and bring in lots of cases that look like that. Ben Feldman used to teach us 3 sales a week. And I thought that after you develop and grow and you're dealing with larger and larger cases, there's no way you could do that. Well, if you have a tandem team and you've reduced your effort and energy down, actually you can. And I was still doing that in the weeks that I was in the office. But I had a prep team and a cleanup team. So I only had to focus on one strategic meeting with the prospective clients that my counselors had filtered and brought into my office. One meeting. How is that possible? Well, I made it possible. You know why? Because I wanted to be a top of the table member. I wanted to take my time off. I wanted to be able to contribute to the lives of a lot of other people in our industry. And I needed to improve the value of a green day. So when I focused on that and learned what I could do to be more effective with my green days, there's a lot of things you can do. I just took my coaching class, the high-end people. I just took some people through a class called What is Your Capacity? And I gave them a whole lot of areas they can do to improve their capacity. One of those things is improving your phone call to appointment ratio. One of those things is your ability to connect with the right prospective clients. One of the abilities is the ability to find them. Like, how do you tweak and tune and improve your ratios and your flow so you get better and better and better all the time? And then you just, oh, by the way, the rest of the dartboard story is, at the end of 1 year, I step in that far door and I wait until you're picking up some more darts so I won't get hit. But I open that door and I take down that dartboard and you say, what are you doing? I said, I'm changing a dartboard. And I put up another one. And you say, it's the same as the old one. No. Might look the same, but it's not the same. What do you mean, Wayne? Well, we just did your best case scenario to figure out your top 10 similar 7. So you already know how to throw the darts. You already know the stance and the aim, and you already know the velocity. You already got that stuff. You're good at that. So now when you throw the darts there, it's going to improve your average size case by, let's say, 25 or 30%, whatever the number is when you redo your best case scenario. because you're looking for those characteristics of the situation. You're looking for the characteristics of what happened working with that situation. So you're constantly improving. But when you do the top 10 every year, it will automatically take you higher and higher and higher. You'll move up into the ozone of higher levels of results and success. So no, to answer your question, Sean, I was dealing in the middle income market. For me, I wasn't in the business market. I tried that 3 times. I failed each time. I wasn't in management. I tried that 3 times and failed each time. You're learning from a failure here. And however, once I got the concept clear of best case scenario and client acquisition process, I stayed on track with that until I jumped into this other market. That was the biggest mistake I made in my career, was not evolving all the way through. I jumped into another market. And it, as I said, it took me a long time to get up and functional and rolling. But eventually I did it. But you see, I lost a lot of time, effort, and energy, and it cost me a ton of money because I was spending a lot of money on attraction marketing. Like all the things you do to make your phone ring, I spent a ton of money on that stuff. I did attraction marketing for 10 years. Wow. And that was radio shows, it was TV interviews, it was workshops. I had public workshops. I had City of Edmonton, Sears, Air Canada, a bunch of government departments sending people in for retirement counseling. I had the Teachers Association, the Retired Teachers Association. I had the Piano Tuners Association. I had the Retired Persons Association sending people in for retirement counseling. I had to expand my office space and my equipment, and I had to expand my my team quite a bit to be able to handle all that, because I was generating 2,500 leads a year. Wow. Did I master attraction marketing? You bet I did. We broke that down to 900 people that we'd invite through our workshop door. We felt these were more qualified prospects, and because a lot of those were just transactional sales, and that's what people have discovered now with a lot of the seminar marketing and so on that's going on. Does it work? Yeah, somewhat. But I have a customer who spent 60 grand in the first 6 months of this year doing client dinners. He said, it worked so well, we thought that we'd have to, make a franchise and sell this. It was so great. But he said, then when we looked at our results, what we got was a bunch of product sales. He said, we're looking for clients, not just prospects. We're looking for their clients that we can develop and grow and help in a big way. So he stopped at cold turkey, came to my high-end workshop, 37 years old. And all of a sudden, his costs have dropped and his revenues are taking hold like you wouldn't believe. How exciting. Now, in my case, I was dealing in what I refer to as the middle income market. They were the millionaires next door. So, Sean, my prospect in the latter part of my career was people between the ages of 65 and 70. They were married, usually a long-term marriage, usually their first marriage, almost always their first marriage. They had income-producing assets in excess of $500,000. It might be 2 or 3 or 4, but that's still middle-income market when you think about it. And so those are the people I was looking for. They had adult children. They had grandchildren. They're big into family. A lot of them lived over in the University District in the southwest corner of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. They didn't live in fancy mansions. They didn't drive brand new cars. Nobody would even know what they were worth. But it wasn't high-end market to me because I grew into it, right? When you grow into a market, that wasn't a high-end market for me, but it was generating really good cases. So you see, you need to become masterful. You need to develop the skills. The biggest skill isn't looking for high-end prospects. It's not the biggest skill at all. You're going to waste a lot of time, effort, and energy, and you're going to be sadly disappointed. This organization says you got to look for the biggest check. Say, no, you don't. You need to look for the best check. That's the check that you know how to handle, the situation you know how to handle. You can handle those interviews. You can handle the sales process. And you're educating people to buy. Now, that's one of my newsletters, again, my Precision Growth newsletters. You're educating people to buy. Now, when I said that at one point in a meeting I was in, One of the people said, what do you mean educate them to buy? And I said, the problem is we're trying to educate prospects. We're trying to tell them about all the stuff we know. That's not your job. Your job is to educate people to buy, to take them through a logical, low-tension process that helps them understand why they should be doing what you're recommending. Because you see, if you educate prospects and they don't become clients, you didn't help them, you just hurt them. You know why? Because the bottom line, Mark, let's help people stay on track with this. The bottom line is that when you see the right people and you develop that expertise, your growth is almost assured if you learn how to focus on your best case scenario and you learn proper precision marketing for client acquisition. It's almost like you go underground. This guy that spent the 60 grand in the first part of this year, we had a discussion with several people around the table. And I said, it's almost like you're going underground. He said, that's what I love about this. I don't have to spend a bunch of money. I don't have to dance on the rooftop. I don't have to differentiate myself. My clients are differentiating me for new prospective clients that fit my profile. Wow. So you want to maximize your results, staying within your comfort zone, or you already know what to do. As some of you say, how do you grow? Best case scenario every year. Best case scenario every year, and it'll drag you by the nose up into the ozone of higher levels of production. It might be just a tweak or a tune. I got in the retirement market, and, it was all exciting and wonderful, and I thought, oh, this is great, but it was a wannabe for me. After I got back to my reality, and I started doing my best case scenario again, I thought it was in the 55 plus market, but then I realized after going through my best case scenario that I was actually in the 60 plus market. And then over time, I best case scenario again, and I realized I was in the 65 plus market. I learned the difference between 62-year-olds and 65-year-olds. 62-year-olds are kicking up their heels. They're going to go ride a motorcycle around North America or sail a boat around the world or start an internet business with one of the kids or. But at 65, there's some changes in their thinking. Part of it is that old number, 65. And part of it is they've been to more funerals, maybe helped to settle in a state. They've seen the market go topsy-turvy more. They've seen economic shadows, issues, challenges. They've seen people lose money. They're more clear about making long-term strategies. They're getting closer to the end of the tax-deferred period of time. They're going to have to make some decisions. They're in the stockpiling syndrome where they're stockpiling beyond what they'll ever need or want. There's nothing wrong with stockpiling. That's important. But they've gone beyond. And so what I learned is when we filter those people to get them down to the right ones that got in my door, then I knew exactly what I was talking about. I can handle those interviews in my sleep. Nothing manipulative, but educating people to buy. Because you see, if you don't educate people to buy, and they don't buy, you know what happens? The next person that comes along says, I'd like to talk to you about these matters. They say, oh, no, I've already been through a lot. Thank you. But they didn't do it. And I think that's a problem for you and for them. So you need to be careful that you are educating people in a logical sequence that helps them buy. Make sense? Okay. So now what I want to do is share a few more slides here, because essentially the format I've laid out for today is I want to spend an hour on the concept of precision marketing and help you see that when you can apply this concept, that you can accomplish so much more. And it's easier than ever because you're in your zone. Okay? Bottom line is, when you're in your zone, the whole business becomes easier. You're practicing mature simplicity. One train, one track. You say, but there's opportunities all over the place. Yeah, I know, but your knowledge and know-how has cut out certain opportunities where you're best doing what you do, right? So if you're running around all the countryside trying to see a whole bunch of different people in different situations and different profiles and whatever, you are literally stunting your growth. Because when you become more process-driven, And I have this uncanny ability. I mean, I can complicate the living heck out of things, but I can also simplify like crazy. Not many people have that skill. Einstein once said, any intelligent fool can complicate things, but it takes a special touch of genius to simplify. I've been blessed with both. I can complicate things like you wouldn't believe, but I also know how to simplify things. And what I've found in my career and the other people that I'm teaching to do this same thing, well, not the same thing as I did exactly, but their profile and their process. What I found is that you step from complicated sophistication into mature simplicity. And in doing so, life changes. It's better. What do you think my life was like in 1981 compared to 1980? Totally different ballgame. I couldn't believe it. And I had my back so against the wall, it was scary. But I pulled it off. And you couldn't have convinced me that that was possible. You couldn't have convinced me that. Hopefully I can convince you today that you can make a marvelous difference in what you're doing. So I want to spend the first hour here on precision marketing. We're coming up close on that, or past that. The first hour and a half almost on precision marketing. And then I also want to, that's what the plan was. And then I want to spend 30 minutes on implementation. I want to show you how you can implement this concept, this philosophy, and immediately make a big change in what you're doing. Like right in 2020, you can make a big change. You can make a change in January so that you're more focused and more on track with where you belong. But you also need the process to be able to practice precision marketing. So I'll talk about that a little bit later on. Okay, so there's some concepts on precision marketing and what that's all about and how it works and so on. And let me just see if there's anything else in that part that I wanted to help you with. Okay, here, I'm going to go to this and let me just show the other side of my screen. There we go. And another thing to understand is your program that you deliver for the people that fit your profile. Okay, clarity of your program. So, but especially for people that fit your best case scenario. There's other things that you'll do that are off profile, but the more you do business on profile, the better and better you become. So when we look at this then, if I can get my slide to change, come on. There we go. When you narrow your profile, you automatically narrow your program. So instead of you trying to be knowledgeable about all these different things, which is impossible, and there's this huge information box that we have in our business, you have to segment that and break it down, or otherwise you won't get anywhere. Now, I have a friend who just turned 80 about a month ago. He's still getting ready to get started. He's always got a new idea, always got something he's doing. I love the guy dearly, but man, he's still trying to get started. Oh, he's done okay, but he's a bright guy, but he couldn't implement. I don't want you to be like that. That's not where you want to be. So you see, when you narrow your profile, you narrow all the information you need to acquire. You don't need to learn about all kinds of things that are in a part of our business if you know exactly who you're going to see and you know how to get in front of those people. See how it simplifies everything? And then it's your experiential learning, experiential training, where you're getting in front of people and you're doing this stuff, knowing who you should see. And then when you're doing this stuff, you get better and better and better at it all the time. Now, sure, you'll continue to do some learning. I agree. I understand that. But you only need one method of marketing. Yes, you might be involved in some attraction marketing things. Maybe you're all set up for social media, whatever. But here's what you got to remember. You're looking for the right people, not all the people. That's what I discovered in doing attraction marketing. 2,500 leads. Well, we cracked $1 million of revenue. But I had to have all these expenses. I was spending half of my income, of my revenues, on expenses. Way over the line. But 1 year later, I did the analytics. And when I did the analytics and I looked and broke it all down, here's what I discovered. We were trying to get more and more focused all the time. So of the 2,500 leads, we tried to narrow it down to 900 that would come through the workshop door. And I had a facility that would seat 40 people, theater seats, sloping floors, beautiful facility called the Cotton Theater. And we could put 40 bums on seats twice a year, all year long, give or take 900 people. we were filtering like crazy to try and make sure we had the right people. But here's what happened. Out of those 2,500 leads, it was only 3.6% that fit my best case scenario. 3.6%. Extremely small percentage. You know, we talk about the 80-20 rule, where 20% of your effort generates 80% of your results. Well, for me, it was like 80-20 squared. Because here's what happened. When I broke it down to where our revenues are coming from and what the profile was of those people, it's only 3.6% of the leads that fit my profile. And they generated 73% of our revenue. Wow. 73% of our revenue. So what happened was I quit all forms of attraction marketing because I realized it was actually distraction marketing. It was taking me all over the place. I had to add on more services and add on more people and all that stuff. So I was able to reduce my overhead by just over 20%. But our revenues went up by 50%. So think about that. $1 million to $1 million, that's $500,000 of new revenue in a year, single year. Both years I was down to 65 afternoons in the office. But the focus was different because we knew exactly where our revenues were coming from. We did the analytics. And when I saw the analytics and realized that 3.6% generated 73%, I said, whoa, let's stop this nonsense we've been doing. Or stop doing advertising and promotions and you know, the people coming in our door all the time for retirement counseling. I had to slow all that bucket down because I wanted to be focused on where I belonged, where I could use my best skill. So my biggest year, I wanted 65 appointments, one at 1:30 p.m. each day when I was in town. Mornings for my other business. I wanted 65 appointments. You know how many I had in my biggest year? 48. That was a problem. That's a challenge. That was a problem needed to be turned into a process. But my biggest year, I had 48 appointments. And of those, only 32 fit my best case scenario. And yet we went up by $500,000 that year because we were far more focused than before. Me and my little tandem team of salary paid support people. Wow. You see how extraordinary it can be when you get really focused. So when you narrow your profile, you automatically narrow your program. Now your focal point is on people that fit that profile. You don't need to be doing a ton of other things. Because if you're busy with people that fit your profile, you know you're maximizing your flow of income. And so once again, it's about being hyper-focused, practicing the art of duplication. What does that mean? Well, it means you're using the same concepts, methods, processes, communication language, stories, examples, programs, products, and services. You say, but I need to serve all these people. No, you don't. That's a missionary. You're a business person. You need to be a business person. You need to maximize your revenues, provide excellent service to the people you serve, and over time, build a little team to help and support you. And it's all about mastery. That's where you're practicing the art of duplication. So then we're into the topic of process. You need clarity of all your steps in your process. Deming said, if you don't have a process for what you're doing, you don't know what you're doing. And here's what I find out in the marketplace today. There are so many different ideas and concepts and methods for marketing. Like there's a ton of different things. But the reality is your goal needs to be to develop a process-driven business. I talked about this. I did a top of the table focus group session, 90-minute focus group session at MDRT in 2013. And I said, I want you to focus on converting a personality-driven practice to a process-driven business that is sizable, it's sustainable, it's scalable, and it's saleable. That was what I focused on. And so what we need to do then is make sure that we get the right processes in place to help us accomplish what we want. Repeatable processes that generate predictable results that are within your control. The processes are within your control, and they're manageable, and they're measurable, and they're sustainable, and they're scalable. Now, once you get your processes in place, then all of a sudden, you are using the model methods. What that mean? Well, it means figure out the best way to do any one part of your process, lock in on the best way, eliminate the alternatives, improve it to perfection. So let me give you an example. Let's say that that you're seeing prospects and you are carrying 6 different fact-finding forms. Would that make sense? No, absolutely not. You carry the one that works for the people you serve. That's the model method. You need to have a whole string of different products that you deliver for people? Not really. You need to know ones that are good, that do a good job for your clients, that work well. But I had a guy from Idaho call one day, and he said this years ago, he called me, he says, Wayne, I want to come up and spend a day following you around and see what you do. And I said, no, I'm sorry, but I don't do that. He says, well, half a day? I said, no, I've got systems for you to learn what I do. And that's the best way for me to serve you. He said, well, can I come up and buy you dinner? And I said, yeah, okay. I said, what's the problem? And he said, well, I got agreements with 33 companies. The longer I'm a broker, the broker I'm getting. I said, yeah, no kidding. Because you had all this email you got to look at and think about and organize and check out this and check out that and check out the other thing. Like, slow down, for goodness sakes. Slow down and be more profitable. So if you have model methods, model methods apply to a number of things. But when it comes to marketing, like, how are you going to find the right on-profile prospects? How are you going to build trust before you make the connection? How are you going to successfully make that connection? How are you going to filter to make sure you got the right people? It's called a discovery preview. How are you going to select the right new people? That's what a marketing system is all about. And so when you are using the principles of growth, like your purpose, your profile, your program, your process, and your performance standards, all of a sudden you can accomplish way more than you thought you could. And so that's what marketing is all about, right? It's getting your principles clear. Now, what's going to happen is we're going to take a short break and go make your bladder gladder, fill up your coffee cup, and get right back here, because we're going to start again in 6 minutes flat. Okay? So 6 minutes. Don't get hung up in your Facebook and don't get checking your emails. Like, go to the bathroom, fill up your coffee cup, and get back here, because I'm giving you the best of the best I can give you. And so I want you to really learn what that's all about. Okay? So that's what we're going to do. And I'll be back with you shortly. 6 minutes. I'm looking at my watch. I'm going to set my timer. 6 minutes. Hurry. Be right back. Thank you. Okay, everybody, well, let's keep rolling. And so let me just pull up my link here and pull this over on my screen and make it larger. There we go. And I'm just going to check here. Mark says, how do you market yourself as an independent to help build trust and create interest aside from product sales? It's easy, Mark. Well, it's not easy. There's a method for doing that. And that's what we're talking about. The bottom line is that when you are being introduced, properly introduced, I'm not talking about a referral, I'm talking about a proferral, where you are being introduced by your current clients, where you have a know, like, and trust relationship to new prospective clients that fit your best case scenario. You don't have to dance on any rooftops at all. You don't have to differentiate yourself. As I said to Kyle in our big workshop, you've gone underground. It's almost like nobody knows you're there. You don't have to make a big hoopla in the marketplace. You don't even have to have an elevator speech. Because when you're being properly and professionally introduced from one person to the next, using formal press introductions, it takes all the skepticism out of the formula. And you'll find that your ability to meet new people, we'll give you an example. Like when you look at some of the information afterwards, you'll see an example of a person who did one business development program. That's the prospecting process that helps you practice precision marketing. He got 11 formal press introductions. From those, he got in front of 9 people. Unbelievable. Why? Not because of his products, not because of his services, not because of his fancy pitch about how great he was. Not at all. Because he had a proper introduction from one party to the next. And from that group of people, he downloaded 2 of them. He got in front of 9 of the 11 people. He downloaded 2 of them to his daughter, who works in a more basic level. He went down the path with 7, but 2 of them were wasting his time. And so he politely told them, where to go? No, no, but he told them that he wouldn't continue the process because they were not participating the way they needed to. And of the 5 that were left, he got 4 clients. His average revenue was $20,000 a client. And so between him and his daughter, they got close to $90,000 of revenue. Wow. Incredible. So the thing here is about being precise and getting in front of people on a favorable basis, but it doesn't have to do with the advertising you do or with how fancy your Facebook page is or how great your LinkedIn profile is. Yeah, those things may help, but the bottom line is it's about the power of the introductions. That's what makes the difference. And this is not easy to set up. Like, there's a whole process behind it, but I'll share more of that with you in the next short while. Okay. So now let me just get out of that and there we go. Okay, I'm out of that. So now what I want to do is I want to just show you a couple of slides on marketing, and then we're going to go straight into some more detailed information for you. Okay, so where did that go? Here it is. Here it is, coming up. Here it is. The marketing issue. Here we go. The marketing issue. Are you masterful? Did I show the other side of my screen? Just one second here, make sure that I did. There, I should do that so I can show you. Here we go. Okay, the marketing issue, quickly. Are you masterful at marketing? Or are you frustrated, confused, and all over the map when it comes to this critical subject? How can you tell if you're good at marketing? It's pretty easy. Look at your bank account. Start at the bottom. Look at the bank account here. If it's too empty or it doesn't have enough money going into it, you got a problem with marketing. It's that simple. If your sales activity is too low, you're not seeing an adequate flow of the right people, you don't have enough prospects. All of those combine. So you got a problem in marketing. I did some seasoned advisor surveys here a bit ago. Here's what I discovered. Seasoned advisors, my bank account is far too empty. My sales activity is way too low. I don't have the right prospects. I don't have enough prospects. 87% of them said that. Wow. That's incredible. That's incredible. You know, that it's in the 80s, the number of businesses that fail because they don't have enough customers. I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about other businesses. I think it's 82% fail because they don't have enough customers. Same story with us. Once again, marketing is the key to business success. It's the access point to the freedoms that we've been talking about. Okay, I'm going to jump out of that, and we're going to go over to some other slides here that will help me explain more of what we're talking about, the process. And so here we go. As it says on this slide, it's transformation time. How do you do all this stuff we're talking about? Introduction marketing. Precision marketing approach, introduction marketing. Ideal proven method for precision marketing using powerful press introductions. It's part of the Cotton formula, the Cotton system. So let's look at it this way. Let's say that you say, man, I want to grow the size of my sphere of productivity. You look at it inside, crack it open, you see that the word productivity, at least in my dictionary, it's two words. And what it is the top half is activity, the bottom half is product. The top half is marketing, the bottom half is selling. The top half is about client acquisition, the bottom half is about client development. We need systems for both the top half and the bottom half. Chances are you got some good things going on in the bottom half, but the top half is where the big issue is. Now, I use these slides with the top of the table members when I talked with them. So this applies to people in lots of different levels. You know, the bottom half is good. If you got all this stuff going for you, that's good. But if that's all you got, you're sitting in a rocking chair, you're not going anywhere. So if you've got an ineffective system for the top half of the wheel, it's still your number one constraint. And so you're working hard to get some business going, but you're not really rolling because you don't have a wheel. And so what happens is over you go, get this business that you're putting together, and then all of a sudden you're out of business again. You hit the turtle effect. Brent and I were married over in Maui. We didn't see any turtles. We went back at our 20th anniversary. There was turtles everywhere. I think there's a dozen in this picture. You know, when those turtles come in from the ocean at night to get away from the sharks and stuff, they hit the shore. They're very agile when they're out in the water. We're snorkeling with the turtles. These are 300-pounders. And you're snorkeling, and they're going by, and they're going here, going there, looking for some food, or I don't know what they're doing. They're playing, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, when they hit the shore at night, what happens is they hit the shore and it stops. And then they put those big flippers forward about 1.5 inches. And then they pull themselves forward. And they reach out again and pull themselves forward. And then they stop and rest for a while. It takes them forever to get up on the beach where they want to be. A lot of advisors are like that. You hit the turtle effect. Yeah, they get some leads, they got some business, they get some things going, and then all of a sudden it dies. That's horrible because it's inconsistent. And so, once again, if you want to resolve this issue, convert the problem into a procedure. And I've got the right procedure for you. You need a precision marketing system because the top half of the wheel is what makes the productivity wheel turn. And so what you need is an ability to find, sift, sort, and select an adequate number of the right new on-profile prospective clients. And the bottom half is everything you do to add value with your systems, products, and services. The Cotton system is a top half system. That's what it does. It sits on whatever you do for the bottom half, and you're integrated and aligned so that you can accomplish way more and do it in less time. That's the story of the Cotton system. And so it's about finding the right new clients. How do you do that? Well, you got to know your best case scenario. Once again, we'll teach you that. So you can find the right people that fit that best case scenario, and then you're going to sift, sort, and select the right ones. How do you find? It's called a business development program. It's a prospecting process. It takes away resistance points and has your clients more than willing to help you. Wow. You sift. After you've identified the people that fit your profile, you sift to find which ones your client will introduce you to. That's normally 75%. Statistically, using the content system, you'll get 12 on profile prospective clients up here. But then the prestige introductions, which is what you're really looking for, you'll end up with 8 on average. And then you sort at the time of the connection. When you make a phone call, we also teach people how to use a text message. You sort, and then you select when you meet people for a 20-minute preview to have them complete a powerful tool called a viewpoint self-discovery questionnaire. And that's what opens the doors and positions everything so you can move forward and get the job done. So how do you find them? You start with current relationships, centers of influence, and clients. Get some clients, you do your top 10 similar 7, that's who you go and see. Because you're going to replicate those people by crossing a trust bridge from one relationship to the next. And when you do that, what's happening is your client is the foundation for the trust bridge. And they're introducing you to people that they know, like, and trust that fit their profile. It's not just relationships. It's not just connections. It's not somebody they worked with 7 years ago and they haven't seen them since. We're looking for relationships where they're going out for dinner with those people, they're texting them, they go to a game together, they go to church together, whatever. But it's relationships, not just connections, but they also fit the profile. Okay? And the other thing is we teach you to never use the word referral with your clients. It's a dirty word to too many people. Never pester people. You do this once with your clients. The only time you do it again is when you're handling a major strategy meeting, like we used to call a review strategy meeting. And the bottom line is, why settle for a few when you can have 8 or 10 or 12? Less effort, more results. And so that's what that's all about. Now, because of the time and timing, I'm going to just give you a few ideas here. Okay, that's the inside of the BDP. And it's professional, it's organized, it's structured, it works. And from the BDP, you will now go to the next step, which is where you're obtaining formal prestige introductions to the people that fit your profile. Okay? That's what builds trust, open the doors, and positions the call. And when you send out a prestige introduction, depends on whether you're registered rep or not, US. But there's an introduction from your current clients to the new prospective clients. Some language has to be modified if you're a registered rep. But we teach all about that. There's tons of training on this. There's something called the Cotton Training Academy. It's a very simple phone call. And when you make the phone call, you're asking for a 20-minute meeting. That's it. Because you haven't finished filtering yet. You're selecting the right people you want invited to your clientele. So this process is pretty darn powerful. And John sent me a note one day and he says, made 3 calls, got 3 appointments. And I said, congrats, that's a pretty nice ratio. And then the next day he sent me a note and he says, made 3 calls and got 4 appointments. And I said, okay, jig is up. How does that work? And I called John. And what happened was he's in the business market and we have a business market system. So he phoned the person and his partner answered the phone. And so John and the partner said, John, I need to talk to you too. So I got 4 appointments. Now, this discovery preview is not about you. It's not about your firm, your system, your services, your products, your knowledge, your credibility, your credentials. It's not about that at all. It's about them. And that's accomplished with something called a viewpoint. We have them for 5 different markets. The viewpoint is what opened the doors and positions the next step in the process. They work incredibly well. So this is not some new system on the marketplace. I first developed this for me, only for me. It was never for anybody else. Not for you, it was for me. But what happened was, once I realized the power of this, other people started calling me and asking me to meet with them to talk about it. And so what happened was, I couldn't keep meeting with people one by one, and somebody suggested that I publish this. And so I did. So the top half of the wheel includes the business development program, personal identities, which you list in that form. You convert to prestige introductions. You make the connection. You have people complete a viewpoint, which opens a case and positions the next steps. And then you have an info guide to help you make arrangements for the next meeting. One step after the other, step by step. And the bottom line in this is one great client leads to 3 more. But let's say that for whatever reason, you don't want to prospect with number 2. Maybe they're a bit off profile. Maybe it was just a transactional sale. And so you don't even prospect with number 2, but you prospect with number 1 and number 3. There's 0 marketing costs, like you invest in your system to get started, but there's 0 marketing costs. I mean, this is literally like take your lead generation costs down to 0. Yeah, you'll order some of the tools in your client acquisition, but your marketing costs go to 0. And then if you get 3, that's second generation. Now you go to third generation. One great client can lead to 21 more clients. And you're in control of the flow and you're in control of the outcome. It's not rocket science. It's cotton science. Okay. So now I'm going to explain a couple of things regarding the process. So the content client acquisition system is $24.95, $2,500 US. It's a one-time deal, not a licensing deal where you got to pay and pay and pay and pay over and over and over again. It's a one-time capital cost, tax deductible. And when you think what people are paying for lead generation and for seminars and everything else, this is like a no-brainer. It is super simple. And so that's what that process is about. So bottom line is, okay, what? Yeah, okay, thanks. So the bottom line is, we've been able to help you see that you can make a huge difference in terms of your results. Like you can go into 2020 equipped and ready to roll. And the content system, I'll just show you this very quickly here. Content system, oh, just a minute, I can't do that. So I'm gonna just minimize here. Okay, I gotta move this over to the other page. Okay, there we go. Your training is all in the Content Training Academy. And I'm going to just go over here, click on Content Training Academy. You can see me doing this, right? No, you can't because I didn't show the other side of my screen. So I'm going to do that right now. And here we go. Or did I? Did I show you the other side of my screen? Here we go. Pull this back over. And I'll make it the large size. There we go. And I'll share this with you. There we go. Now we can do it. So I'm going to go into the Content Training Academy. We're really excited about this because we, all of the training now is all online. It is, it's really clear. You know exactly what you're supposed to do. And we babysit you through the process with a very terrific implementation process. You just go into here, Content Training Academy. And you can see that when you order this system, all your training is in here for the Content Client Acquisition System. We'll help you determine whether you need a middle income market, financial market. This is for people that are more into investments. This is more middle income market, business market. These two, very few of our customers use either one of these. We do have some people in the multiple line world. But what you receive is your system and one market specific module automatically with it at no additional charge. So I'm going to get into here, view details, and show you that there is a whole menu in here of different things of getting started and getting moving and mastering the process. So when we go into discoveries, for example, that's about using the 20-minute preview. Got a 14-minute video for me on that. There's an audio and there's an advisor's guide. The advisor's guide over here on the right-hand side, I just ordered it to download. And there we go. Advisor's guide. Okay, what's going on here? Must be taking its sweet time to download today. Did I miss something? Here we go. Try this. There we go.
You've opened it twice. It's on your footer.
I'm sorry?
The files are large.
Okay, thank you. That's what's going on. Okay, here we go. Advisor's guide. Now, the training here is geared for anybody who's on the system, but your market-specific module will be specific to you. This advisor's guide, you'll notice something important here at the bottom of the opening letter. I first wrote these in 2002. I rewrote them again in 2005. Rewrote them again in 2016. It's easy now for me to update things because it's online. All we do is send our customers a note and tell them there's something new there, and away we go. And so this goes through a table of contents. What is a discovered preview? What's the approach about? Understanding the viewpoint page by page. Understanding the issues that people have, analyzing the details. Where do you hold the meeting? What do you take to the meeting? What's the initial phase of the preview? What do you do while people are completing the viewpoint self-discovery questionnaire? You don't have to learn a whole bunch of language. You simply ask people to complete the self-discovery questionnaire that'll help them understand the nature of your work, and it'll also help them understand whether or not they might need your services. And so there's a whole process in here to teach you exactly what to say and exactly what to do. So that's an example of an advisor's guide. Back in here again to the Cotton Training Academy. And oh yeah, that's a good, Wayne. I just closed it down. Okay, and here we go. Log in, did. Okay, so it goes down step by step through all these different areas of teaching you exactly what to say, what to do. And in addition, you receive 10 classes a year, Ask Wayne classes at no charge, where I spend 90 minutes answering questions and divulging new information, new ideas, new concepts from some of our customers. Got a huge customer base, and so I've learned a lot from them as well. So the bottom line is you have the Cotton Training Academy then to take you through all the steps in the process, all the steps in learning, so you become really, really effective at the top half of the wheel. Now then when I go down to another place in here, we have something called the Cotton Owners Group. There's several systems for different levels in the marketplace. Now, this is something we've developed that is a phenomenal program. It's like me coaching you online. And so when you're in the Cotton Owners Group, there's articles, there's a whole bunch of articles in here that I've written, average about 2,000 words long. You can see this goes beyond the Cotton system. This is now into how to improve your business. Now, I'm not suggesting that you get involved in the Cotton Owners Group right now. Some people will want to do that. But I'll tell you about a bonus where you can get into it for 6 months at no charge. And we have Ask Wayne classes. So when I do my Ask Wayne classes, the recordings go in here. We don't send out the recordings, but the recordings go in here. And so that's positive. And I go back here to the categories. Client value conversations. This is huge. You know why? Because it's interviews with people, customers, where I've interviewed them. It's not a testimonial, it's a full-blown interview. And so these interviews are really valuable. So I'm going to click on Young and Developing Advisors. And, you know, here's a client value conversation just put in about 3 weeks ago. Advisor from Florida named Eric. I've been in the business for 5 years, and he shares his excitement about the system and what it's doing for him right now with a consistent flow of new people. And there's a number of them in here. And so those are really valuable. And then back to the client value conversations again. I'm going to go down to the seasoned and mature advisors. Now you see another series of videos in here, video interviews. This first one is 45 minutes long. That's Kyle, the guy that I mentioned. He's in Tennessee. And Kyle's the guy that came to my workshop, and away he went. He said, I found what works. The business is fun again. Here's a seasoned advisor, did his first 4 business development programs, got 53 prestige reductions, and. There's Bert that I was talking about earlier. Here's a guy that, Randy in Findlay, Ohio, talking. Most of our customers are in the US. We're in Canada. But there's about 85, 90, close to 90% of our business is done in the US, but we deal with customers in several different countries as well, and so on. So these are really valuable because they give you a deeper understanding from somebody else's perspective. And as Kyle said to me one day, it's amazing what I've learned from other people as well. There's a number of coaching classes in here. about different things that you should do. There's stuff on activity management and diagnostics. Like there's a ton of things in here that can help you become better and better, better all the time. Down here, you see Q&A. And the Q&A is over 200 questions and answers. So if you had the Content Owners Group, you would be referring to that constantly. And so there's a phenomenal process in here, over 200 questions on how to do this or how to do that. And that's in the Content Owners Group. So here's what I'm going to suggest to you. You get involved in the content system, and we have some deadlines and details. We're sending out a email to you right now. But if you can get in on the time-sensitive deadlines on getting involved in this, and this will give you an incentive to get moving and to get going, because as soon as you order your system, we release the Content Training Academy. So you have all that learning instantly to get you started. And then in addition, what happens is you also will have, for those people that meet the deadlines, and I think it's Thursday noon or Thursday afternoon, but if you meet that deadline, here's what's going to happen. Bonuses. We'll give you 6 months of access to the Content Owners Group at no charge. That's a $750 value at no charge. You got to take action here. And I'm going to do the live class on best case scenario. Normally that's a recording in the system, but I'm going to take the group of people that get involved in this system now through a live class. And that bonus also expires on Thursday. You'll have your 10 invitations to the Ask Wayne 90-minute classes in the year. If you're in Canada or the US, there's no shipping charges. And if you're in Canada, we cover the cost of UPS ground shipments, and we prepay customs clearance into Canada. So $24.95 US, and the document that you have has some social proof from other people. And we'll be really excited about getting involved. And here's another thing. For the first 5 people, this is a special action taker bonus. We'll give you a full year of the Content Owners Group. $1,500 value US for investing your $24.95 before midnight tonight. That ought to give you a little incentive. And if you need to find us, you can pick up the phone and give us a call. We've sent some information out to you for you to get involved in and to look, but I'm going to suggest you look at it fairly quickly. And I'm not trying to push you, but I want you to take action, right? Because you need to make a decision and make it right. And we will help and support and guide you. There's a 30-day refund policy. So there's no reason not to get involved in this and to see how it can just, compound your growth in the year. And so it's very reasonable compared to the other things you might be doing. And it's very effective. So there's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Thanks, everybody, for being here. This has been a pleasure to be able to guide and perhaps direct. I've done a lot of that for most of my career. And so there you go, and check your email for the note that you'll receive and make sure that you got that. And the landing page is now available, and there's a landing page that goes through some details in the process. And it also gives you some social proof, right, from various people. And it gives you some detail on what's involved in the system, what you get with your system. And it also has the bonuses, okay? So there you go. The bonus value is $11.47 US in bonuses. That's a darn good deal on a $2,500, $24.95 investment. Okay, everybody. I have done what I said I was going to do, and I did it within 2 minutes of the ending time. So I'm going to call it a day there. Let me just see if I have any other questions here that I need to answer for people. Awesome refresher for me, says Ed. I'm a young advisor, I'd like to use this system for a long while. What is the business continuity plan for Cotton Systems? Well, that's a great question. Number one, my wife, Brenda, said to me one day a couple of years ago, Wayne, we need to get a whole lot more video online for you so that if you expire, it doesn't. And so that's the first step. I also have some organizations that I've been talking to and dealing with. I'm going to keep doing this for quite a while, by the way, because I love what I'm doing. I know I'm making a difference. But I've talked to other people about succession plans. You know, in my practice, it was easy because I had built a process-driven business that wasn't just wrapped around me. And so when I stepped out of my financial practice, nobody even missed me. Hope that doesn't happen here. But I'll be a while. My dad lived 99 years, 9 months, and 9 days, and I don't intend to go that long for sure. But we've got systems and processes in place, and got our team here. And so that's some of what we've done, and we're doing more because the processes and procedures are in place. We're constantly fine-tuning and upgrading and making sure everything is working great. We do some beta testing as well. And then as far as the company is concerned, we can actually sell the intellectual property separate from the company if we want to. And so there's various options for us here, and there's some organizations that are quite excited about the possibility. So when I'm ready, we'll figure that out. And well, I mean, we're figuring it out right now. But thanks for your question. That's a good question. Let me see if I've got anything more in here. I'm so thankful you providing this. Let me see if I can read this from Val. Hey, Val. I'm so thankful for you providing this for advisors not yet at that 250 level. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I've got people that are at $60,000 a year, but they realize they have to take action in order to survive in the business. And so it doesn't have to be that you have a big income to do this. Will there be the level to attend your pathway retreat in the next 3 years? Yep. I'm still relatively new at the 5-year mark in January. It's not a problem. We have people that are in their 30s that are coming to this pathway to freedom. And so, no, I'll be doing stuff for a long time, Val. It's, as you can tell, I'm passionate about what I do. I know I'm making a difference for people, and that's pretty exciting. So, yeah, that's great. Let me think. Do you have to do business with the centers of influence to do a BDP and get introductions? No, but you can. One of our customers, in fact, there's a client value conversation of him in the Cotton Owners Group, which, by the way, everybody that orders this before Thursday, or on Thursday, I guess it is, you'll see the details. But everybody that orders it, the system by, let me see here. By 12 noon on Thursday. Okay, there's your deadline. 12 noon on Thursday. You already know if you need to do it. You know, so it's not a question, do you need to do it? It's a question of, how do I sort this out? So you got a little bit of time. But those 5 people that order today before midnight, first 5 that are in, you will receive a full year of the Cotton Owners Group at no charge. Now, in the Cotton Owners Group, one of the people in there, and the rest of you that do this by Thursday noon, you'll have a half a year. You'll have 6 months. So that's a nice bonus. And so there's a fella in there who talked about his first 3 BDPs. And what happened was this guy talked to some clients that he'd had for a while, a little over a year. He'd asked them for referrals several times. They didn't give him any. Their neighbors didn't give him any. He did his first BDP, and he got, just a minute, let me get my numbers straight. He got 23 prestige introductions to people that fit his profile. He was blown away. He went with 2 accountants, professional accountants. Each of them had given him a client before. They both worked together. He had lunch with them. He did his business development program over lunch. This is in New York City. He did his business development program over lunch, and each of them gave him 10 formal prestige introductions. That's 20 more. He sent out his brother, who's an investment banker in New York City. His brother gave him 10. He'd never given him any before. But his brother gave him 10 and said there's a lot more where that comes from. Now, that's a remarkable first 3 BDPs. But you can hear the story. It's in the Cotton Owners Group under Client Value Conversations. So everybody, I hope you've enjoyed this today. I hope this has given you a new view of your potential, your future. We'll be in touch with you over the next few days with some various things and information, whatever, but make your decision. Make it right. Get involved. Get ready for the new year, because you can make a substantial difference in very short order. Thanks, everybody. This is Wayne signing off, saying bye now. Talk to you soon.